I think I have three stories for discussion this evening, and the first one is where the government has moved the National Nutrition Commission from the Ministry of Health to the Office of the Vice President. And then we have another story where CAMFAID has called on traditional leaders and parents in Luampa district, that is in Western Province, to protect school-going children from early marriages and pregnancies. Then the government also has called on the media institutions. You know very well that we'll be having elections. It's 30 days today before elections, so the government has called on the media institutions in the country to provide equitable, balanced and ethical coverage of all the political actors ahead of the 2026 general election. So those are the stories that I'm going to touch on. Okay. So I go straight to the first one, where government has moved the National Food and Nutrition Commission from the Ministry of Health to the Office of the Vice President in a major policy shift aimed at strengthening the fight against malnutrition. For some time, I think malnutrition has been one of the challenges that the country has been facing, and the government has made several policy interventions to see to that these malnutrition cases are curbed completely. So today we had the Vice President, Mutale Nalumango, who was represented by the Secretary to Cabinet, Patrick Kangwa, launching the National Food and Nutrition Security Policy, as well as the stunting reduction strategy 2026-2030. And during this particular event, it was re-emphasized that government is committed towards enhancing nutritional levels in the country, so that we have a lot of healthy children. And then during the same launch, it was revealed that the stunting levels in the country have kept reducing, though not to the desired levels. As of 2007, the stunting levels in the country were about 45%, and they reduced further to 32% in 2024. Yes, so as things stand, we are at 32%, and it is the desire of the government to reduce the stunting levels further from 32% to 15% by 2030. Yeah. So this is why the government has decided to move the National Food and Nutrition Commission from the Ministry of Health to the Office of the Vice President, because the government wants to encourage collaboration amongst the various stakeholders, that is the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the civil society, amongst others, because all these people play a pivotal role in ensuring that we improve the nutritional standards in the country. And then scientifically, there's scientific evidence that good nutrition is one of the foundations of human development. And I think as a country, we have many aspirations, and one of them is, of course, towards achieving what is stated in the 8th National Development Plan. And, of course, we also want to, we have the 2063 vision of the Africa that we do want. And as a country working, of course, in collaboration with other partners, we need to come up with strategies that are going to help us achieve the desired goals. And of course, when you improve nutrition, there are so many benefits to that. It is also true that, if the child that is below the age of 2 is not well fed, that affects their IQ, though sometimes it could be because of genetic issues and all that. And then it also affects their physical growth, which is stunting levels. You know, in the country, in Zambia, we've had these stunting levels, stunting cases at a very high percentage. You can imagine in 2007 at 45%, that is almost 50%, which is not supposed to be the case. And then good nutrition also strengthens the immune system. It also reduces the risks of infection. It also lowers the chances of chronic diseases such as diabetes. Let me maybe speak more about this. We've seen previously, we never used to have children that had chronic diseases like diabetes. But today, when you go to the health institutions, you find that we have children that have diabetes. Why is it like that? This is because yes, we have children that are coming from very good homes, well-to-do families, but they are eating the wrong food. And during the discussion, I think it came out that, you know, ultra-processed food, to some extent, is also contributing to these stunting levels. It's not just about eating food. You need to eat what is right. And this is why I think the government has changed the commission, National Food and Nutrition Commission, to the Office of the Vice President, because the Office of the Vice President interacts with various stakeholders, including various ministries. So in that way, we are going to see a lot of improvement. And then the UN resident coordinator, Ms. Beatrice Muntali, also actually commended the government for the food feeding program that the government has introduced, saying that they would also continue supporting that because they know of the benefits of such things. For sure, this country can only develop if we have children that are well fed and they need to be given the right food. Unfortunately, we have a lot of children that do like ultra-processed food. So the government maybe can also try to see how best they can help to discourage our children, even as the elderly people, to avoid the ultra-processed foods, so that we live health and longer at the same time.
Food, I guess.
Yeah. So now I go to another story where government has urged media institutions to provide equitable, balanced and ethical coverage of all political actors ahead of the 2026 general election. It's 30 days before the general election, and as the media, we have the duty to inform the people. We don't just inform them. We need to ensure that the information that is going out to the masses is balanced. We need to be ethical in the manner in which we report. We do not need to practice yellow journalism. And this is what the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Mr. Kawana, was emphasizing during a workshop that was organized by the Independent Broadcasting Authority today for journalists. He has insisted that the media houses should give coverage to all the political actors, regardless of where they are coming from. You know, there's a perception by the general public in Zambia that the public media usually covers the government in power, and then the private media usually covers the opposition political parties. But I think going forward, it's high time we changed that perception as journalists, that especially those that are covering this year's elections, to change that perception by giving coverage to all the political actors, regardless of where they are coming from, so that in the future we can also operate like other public media organizations on the continent and across the world. I would give a very good example from the SADC region. I think we have SABIC. That is a public media institution, but when you look at their news content, you know, you wouldn't tell that this is a public media. They try to balance the news. And when you listen to their news, you are able to make that informed decision because they try to interview the experts and they balance their news. That's the way it's supposed to be. So this is what the permanent secretary is re-emphasizing. And just to go further, as journalists, we have a duty to cover all the political actors, and this is envisaged in our constitution, Act number 2 of 2016. This is Article 50 of the amended Constitution, Act number 2 of 2016. We are mandated to cover all political parties and candidates contesting elections. So we should be reminded as journalists so that we are not looked at as people that are biased. We should be professional in the manner in which we do that. And this is also actually complemented by the Electoral Code of Conduct, Act number 35 of 2016, which also provides for fair and balanced reporting of campaigns, political rallies, press conferences, and all that. So my appeal to colleagues that are covering the elections this year from various media houses, be it from public, the private media, they should remain professional and they should adhere to the provision of Article 50 of the amended Constitution, Act number 2 of 2016, and also the Electoral Code of Conduct, Act number 35 of 2016. I think this should be their Bible even as they do cover elections. So I now go to the last story where CAMFED Zambia board chairperson Anita Hamatumbika has called on traditional leaders and parents in Rompa district, that is in Western Province, to protect school-going girls from early pregnancies and marriages. This story has actually made me, become emotional to some extent because the cry by most young girls in rural areas has been that they could not go further in their studies due to lack of basic school requirements. Okay. Now, when you talk about CAMFED, this is an organization or an institution that has been helping girls, especially those in rural areas in various parts of Zambia, to actually attend their education. They buy the basic school requirements and ensure that these girls that are being supported by them are given also the right food. Now, despite all the efforts that are made by CAMFED and other organizations that are supporting young girls to go to school, we still have some girls in rural areas that are being married off at early age, and then we also have some of these girls that are getting pregnant despite being supported. So what I'm trying to communicate is that sometimes it's not the issue of lacking. It's the issue of mindset change. So these organizations that are supporting the girls should go beyond support and, try to keep sensitizing these people. I know they've been doing that, but in education, they talk about repetitive learning. For you and me to know how to spell the words that we can spell now, we never learnt that in a day. It came about due to repetitive learning. So it should be the same with these organizations that are supporting the girls. They should not say, no, we've been talking about it, we've done ABCD. They should be consistent in delivering, in sensitizing these young girls so that they are able to realize that school is very important. They can only come out of poverty. They can only contribute effectively to issues of national development if they're educated. You can imagine, even if they decide to stay in the rural areas, if they decide to get married, stay in the rural areas and they are not educated, how can they effectively represent their own communities? Because even the communities in which they stay, they need representation. So these are some of the things that our girls need to, you know, to be reminded about, so that they can focus on their education. But I'm very, very disappointed that we still have girls that are deciding to get married and get pregnant despite receiving this support, which other girls in other areas actually would utilize to the maximum. So this is what I do have for this evening's analysis, and thank you for having me once more.
Okay.